What's up, guys? It's Adam from 1010 Talk, coming at you with yet another review. So I don't always review micro brands, but when I do, they're micro brands that I stand by and actually like. So today we're reviewing a new watch, a new release from UNDONE, the Urban Tropical. So I know you guys want to see this watch if you guys are considering buying it, so let's just go ahead and get right into the review. Alright guys, so let's get into the review. The UNDONE Urban Tropical. This is a brand new release from UNDONE, and I gotta say, in person, this is so freaking cool. It reminds me of so many vintage watches that I've held in person at various events like Hodinkee events, Analog Shift, places like that. But of course, it is a modern interpretation with a mecha quartz movement. So really quickly, I just want to say UNDONE first came on my radar last year when I saw their awesome customizable experience. On their website, you can basically create your own chronograph from scratch, picking the dial, the hands, all that stuff, the strap. And most recently, I think in February, I ended up purchasing myself an Urban Mystique. I got this gray Fume dial, and the biggest reason I got this is because H. Moser is one of my Grail watches. But unfortunately, all those dress Mosers with the gorgeous Fume dials are in excess of $10,000. So when I saw this, I was like, you know, I will get the Moser one day, but unfortunately it's a little out of my budget right now. So I decided to get this UNDONE to see how I liked it. So flash forward to recently, I went ahead and reached out to UNDONE, and they said they would be glad to send me a Urban Tropical for review, and I gladly accepted, and I'm so excited to actually have this in hand. I went ahead and I picked the kind of most basic one that you can get, the black dial with the racing strap. They have several other different versions that have sort of a more aggressive type of patina on the dial, which you'll see across the screen now. They have a sort of light brown, which is called the Tropical Sahara, and the darker brown, which is called the Tropical Caribbean. This particular model right here is called the Tropical Amazon. And they also have two really cool special editions, the Watch You Seek edition, which is the famous watch forum, and the Tropical A Blog to Watch edition, which is obviously for the publication A Blog to Watch, which I'm sure many of you read. So as you can see from this Tropical Amazon and the photos of the Tropical Sahara and the Caribbean, UNDONE is clearly going for a vintage-inspired look with this watch. So first thing that I noticed when I did see this piece, of course, besides the faux patina on the markers in the hands, is this tachymeter bezel. Steel bezel, which is very reminiscent of a Speedmaster 2915, which you see on the screen right now. The original Speedmaster from 1957. It did have a steel bezel before they ended up switching to a black bezel later on. Of course, the guardless pushers and crown on this lend itself really well to the vintage look as well, the vintage aesthetic. I really do love how the UNDONE chronograph only has two sub-registers or sub-dials. I think two sub-dials is way cooler or way more aesthetically pleasing than having three sub-dials, unless it's a Speedmaster, greatest watch of all time. And I do also really love the fact that they're offering a vintage-inspired look for a fraction of the price of what vintage watches are going for these days. Obviously with this UNDONE Tropical, especially with the sort of brown dials, they're going for a tropical dial look, which by definition in the vintage world is something that has been a little bit weathered and aged. You see that a lot on a lot of the vintage Speedmasters, a lot of the vintage Rolexes, in particular watches like 5513s and 1016 Explorers, as well as 1675 GNTs, and watches in general, vintage watches in general across the board. Of course, this one that I went for here has a more traditional black dial, but you can also see the patina on the faux patina on the markers here and on the hands. And ironically, if you look at the patina on my Speedmaster, the hands on the Tropical UNDONE and the hands on my Speedmaster have almost an identical shade of patina. So they really hit a home run with the shade of patina that you see on the hands on this particular watch. Included, you can pick a variety of different straps. I went ahead and went for this racing style strap with this vintage sort of chrono racer aesthetic. I thought that the racing strap complemented it really nicely, so decided to go with that. On the case back, you can see I decided to go with the clear case back. So even though it is a mecha quartz, a quartz movement with a mechanical chronograph function, I still think it's cooler to see the components of the inside of the watch, especially when it's laid out across the entire case back like this. I think it's better to have a clear case back than it is a solid case back in something like this. I know it's a little bit polarizing and some people might not like the look of seeing all these electronics on the back, but personally I think it's really cool, which is why I opted for the clear case back. So let's go ahead and knock out some of the specifications of this watch really quickly. So the case width is 41.8 millimeters excluding the crown. So if you can see, my Tropical has the exact same case, but the thing is they added this tachymeter bezel on the Tropical, which makes it look a little bit larger. And you can see from the side profile shot that the bezel pours over the actual case itself, turning it into almost a 42 millimeter watch instead of a 40 millimeter watch. The thickness is a very manageable 13.5 millimeters, including the crystal, which is domed. So anytime you have a domed crystal, the watch will actually wear a little bit thinner than if it had a flat crystal on it. So as I mentioned, it has the VK64 mechanical quartz hybrid chronograph, and this is a Seiko movement. Utilizes 316L steel, an industry standard. Has hardened domed K1 crystal on the top. Is water resistant to 3 ATM or 30 meters, and has a strap width of 20 millimeters. So really applaud them for picking the 20 millimeter lug width, the most universal lug width out there. Easily pairable with a lot of cool watches. I mean, you'll see some of the shots. I even included some much pricier straps on this just to show you how cool it looks on you know, an expensive Boolang or an expensive Hodinkee strap. Some of the things that I would like to point out here, besides the cool patina that's actually on this and the really cool see-through case back and the relative thinness of this chronograph, I do really love how the subdials on this dial face are recessed ever so slightly. I think anytime you have a lot of three-dimensional elements on a dial, it always adds to the overall quality feel of any piece that you have. Of course, you can see there's a date wheel at 25. I would have preferred a no date, but I'm sure a lot more people love the date over the no date. And there are probably a lot of mixed feelings about this, but I do love how the dial is completely clean. You'll see there's no logo around the 12 o'clock area or the 6 o'clock area, just a very subtle undone right at the bottom right there at 6 o'clock along the chapter ring. Overall, the strap is not the best I've ever experienced, but you know, this is a at this price point you can't expect too much craziness with the strap, and it is very cool and unique, and I do love the fact that it has the racing holes in it. It's just a little bit raw and unfinished. Overall, I do think this is a great option for someone who really loves the look and the feel of vintage pieces, but doesn't necessarily have $5, $6, $10, $15, $20,000 to spend on something that has some gorgeous patina on it that you'll find on Instagram or Hodinkee. I really do applaud UNDONE for creating a vintage-inspired piece that doesn't break the bank, and that is also extremely durable with the Mecha Quartz movement. And it's also great that you can log on to their website anytime and mess around with different combinations of dials and hands, and finishing on the bracelet, or finishing on the case and the bezel and the different straps. it's really cool that you can customize them to your own tastes. Alright guys, so let me know what you think about this UNDONE Urban Tropical. Let me know what you think about UNDONE as a brand. I know they've done some interesting things as a micro brand that's, I would consider them a little bit of a brand disruptor. They've had some really cool, unique ideas, as you saw with the UNDONE that I purchased myself. You know, I've had everything in the collection from Seiko to Rolex, Omega, Panerai, and this is still something that caught my eye last year that I purchased. And I really love the design aesthetic of this UNDONE Tropical. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, if this is something you can stand behind, what you guys think about the Mecha Quartz Chrono. As always, subscribe to my channel, pushing content non-stop now. I've got a lot on the back burners that I want to bring out to you guys. And also follow me on Instagram at 1010Tock if you have not already. You guys will get some sneak peeks on there of what might be coming up for review, what I've recently added to my collection. And I'll catch you guys in the next review.